Please read the disclaimer. Is the crypto market ready to break out, or is it a fake out? Plus, Elon Musk about to help the crypto market, and the talks between Iran and the US are going to resume. What could that potentially mean for XRP and the crypto market? And an update on my Rave Dao position trade, all that. All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out those good vibes. Smishity smash that like button and let's get into it. So currently XRP is sitting at $1.37. XRP did rise with the rest of the crypto market when we had that mini pump last night. As you can see, XRP went from about 134 all the way up to 138. And then since then, it's been consolidating. Bitcoin also, you can see, moved around what it was even before that, about 10 p.m. my time. So that's around 3 p.m. Eastern time. We saw that run up from 72,000 to 74,000. Ethereum also had a really big movement here of about, I think, 10%, right? 7.5%. Since this big movement over the past 7 or 8 hours, we have seen consolidation. While this was going on, I tried to figure out what was happening. Why was XRP, why was the rest of the crypto market going up? I couldn't find anything. I think there wasn't any headline, there wasn't any big news, there wasn't anything that, Iran news or anything like that. What I think what happened here was two things: technical and a squeeze, a little bit of a squeeze. We talked about yesterday the fact that Bitcoin was about to cross over on the 1348 EMA. And I think that's what might have triggered the buying. Once that started triggering on Bitcoin, it kind of brought the whole market with it. And if you look at the graph right now, Bitcoin is basically back to where it was on March 18th, right? Actually, Ethereum, interestingly, is at almost a higher level. And it looks like for Ethereum, the double bottom might be playing out here, although it's, maybe a lopsided bottom, right? With one cheek bigger than the other cheek, but still, and potentially we could see Ethereum coming back to this 3,000 level soon. And this will be interesting to see if all things go correctly and clarity acts, which we'll get to in just a second. Maybe over the next couple of weeks, we can see optimism and see this potentially happen. But again, as always, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what kind of headline is going to drop. Today is Holocaust Remembering Day here in Israel. So there's a siren at a specific hour. You're supposed to stand for 2 minutes and remember, right? And this happens every single year. There's also one on Memorial Day for this, for soldiers. And my brain is so fixed to going to the bomb shelter whenever there's a siren. It's a different siren. It's a straight siren instead of an up and down siren. But my first initial reaction when it happened 40 minutes ago was to go directly to the bomb shelter. And then my wife, it's her day off today. She's like, where do you go? Where are you going? And I knew that this was going to happen, but my brain was wired that way. So it's a problem. It will take time for my brain to change, not to have that initial reaction. But if we go back, as always, just a reminder that everything we talk about in this video is for educational, it's for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Very, very important. So we'll see what happens today. Price action. It was interesting. Things started moving 5, 6, 7, 10%. And XRP didn't move as much. You can see XRP is at 136, and in March 18th, it was at 160. And interestingly, Solana also is a lot lower than it was at 97. So I seeing only Ethereum and Bitcoin are moving with stronger velocity here. I think it has to do with two factors, because they're part of the BlackRock posse and part of the Michael Saylor, Tom Lee posse, right? So I think that's what's fueling them, whereas other altcoins are lagging behind. And Bitcoin and Ethereum have already had that crossover, as you can see, on the 1348 EMA on the daily chart. So it will be very interesting to see how that plays out over the next coming weeks, right? And we'll get to that situation. Now I want to talk a little bit about Rave, and then we'll get to all the news and what's happening with the negotiations and what Twitter is doing. So Rave, we've been tracking Rave over the past few days. Again, super duper volatile. It's up 38%, but that's not the story because a lot of people got liquidated here. Actually, what happened was, and this is if you're going to be day trading or leverage trading, you need to know this because what happened was right around 11 p.m. my time, I noticed that the funding fees jumped significantly. And I was like, okay, I think it was around like 3%, which is a lot, right? And I was like, okay, I'm about to go to sleep, hopefully. And wishful thinking. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna close this position. Um, but let's wait for towards the end of the hour, and I'll stay up till 12 p.m. and then 12 a.m. and then I'll make a decision. Well, the decision got made for me because other people had the same idea. Because I was like, I can't, 10 hours at 3% every single hour. It was ticking because it was so volatile and there was so much leverage going on it. Everybody was leveraging this. Basically, it dropped significantly. What is this, like 40%, I think? Yeah, 43% in half an hour. So this happened before I was able to close the position. But as I told you, I kept bringing up my stop loss. I ended up stopping off at 10.8, 1080, which is actually lower than where we are right now. So if theoretically, if I would have held the position and I had a lot of room, so I could have ran with this. But what's interesting is as soon as this happened, the funding fees dropped and actually went into minus, which is funny. And now it's actually in minus again. Maybe it will jump to plus in a few hours, and that's something that we need to track. But this is a learning experience here. I shouldn't have waited. I should have, when I saw that, I should have just sold it up here at 1235. Luckily, right? My son woke me up at like 4:30. So at 4:30, we were down here. It went down and then up and then down. And I was like, you know what? Let me open up another position here at 4:30. I ended up opening it up back at 8, around 8 here. And so right now I'm up again. But this is a very volatile position. And I already took a majority of the profit. And now, another, I think it's like up 30% since I opened it up. Yeah, even more, 46% since I opened up that position in the middle of the night. But this is super volatile and it's super risky. And this is one of the craziest assets runs that I've seen in a while. Just know that if you are deciding to trade this can be a money maker or a grave digger, right? You can lose all your money. So just be very careful with this. A lot of people are shorting it right now. So there's short squeezes and long squeezes to the downside. And so that would happen, on that candle, my position got closed because I had the stop loss here at 1080. So this is just, experience and my experience and me trying to share with you so we can learn together. Once I saw that, because I was looking at it, I was like, whoa, wait a second. Why is the funding fee so high? I can't hold this. I can't go to sleep because it was at 3%. If I said, if that's over the next 7 hours, it could be, I think maybe even 100,000 in funding fees if it stays like that. So I was like, I got to close the position. And right now it's in the minus actually. So funny situation, crazy situation. It will be very interesting to see what happens over the next coming days with this. Does it continue? Right now it's is it top 20? I don't know even where it is right now. Still top 30, 30 to 40, 33 on the market cap list. Kind of crazy. 2.85 billion market cap after it was, at 50 cents, 20 cents even before I got in initially. So this is just a crazy ride. And again, on the week, it's up 4,480%. kind of wild. So we'll see what will play out with that going forward. A new rounds of negotiations between the US and Iran may be held on Thursday. By the way, I am doing all of this trade on BTCC. And so if you're interested, link is in the description down below. Maybe you want to short right now. That's if your heart does desire. We actually have a 30% deposit bonus. So if you're interested, you put in 100,000, you get $30,000 bonus for trading. If you're interested, link is in the description down below. Please trade responsibly. I will get a commission. So thank you for that. It helps us keep the lights on here. So thank you for that. So potentially a new round of the talks. And JD Vance is saying, we made a lot of progress in the talks. He says, a lot of progress in negotiations. The ball is in Iran's court. And according to the report from the New York Times, Iran offered to suspend their nuclear enrichment program for 5 years. JD asked for 20. Trump rejected the 5-year offer. A second round of talks are likely, potentially in Pakistan again by the end of the week. How is this not bullish? The fact that they even offered 5-year means they are willing to talk. The US obviously wants more, but all market cares about is that the deal is reached. Maybe we settle 10 years, maybe 20. The point is that it might now be a question when the deal is reached, if it's reached. If we go back to the stock market, remember, stock market has recovered all of the losses basically since the conflict has began. So the market is confident, right? The S&P 500 is confident that this conflict is going to end soon, whereas crypto, even though the fear and greed index is for the first time since March 19th, so since almost a month ago, the fact is that people are still fearful that a deal could not be made and the Clarity Act might not be passed, and the market could tank. Senator Thomas Till plans to release stablecoin yield draft agreement this week to end lobbying battle between banks and crypto. So they're going to end the lobbying, they're going to have a draft, and they're going to move it forward. So we're getting closer and closer. And Ripple CEO Black Garlinghouse says he's still optimistic on the Clarity Act at the semaphore world economy. When people are at their peak frustration, that's when they finally compromise and get it done. I think we're there. So our peak frustration, I think we're at a situation where even Coinbase, they just got downgraded, and their stock is down significantly, of course, since they pulled out, right? Since there was January 1st, 15th, when they pulled out of the negotiations, and it was at 260, and now it's at 170. So you might blame it, on the crypto prices, but they got downgraded and looking at crypto prices and crypto activity, and they might be sick of it as well and saying, we're losing so much money. The potential of the money that we could have made from the yields is a lot smaller than all the fees that we're losing because people are not trading. And people are losing confidence in crypto because of the lack of price action. So, maybe that's the reason why. We're going to potentially see rate cuts soon. Besson urges wait and see on rate cuts. Treasury Secretary Besson says the Fed should hold off on cutting rates, calling recent inflation pressure transitory and unlikely to become embedded in expectations despite energy-driven price spikes. I think that Powell will not reduce rates. Again, I think he's out, right? And is going to be replaced soon. And the new Fed chairman is going to do the cutting. I think that's what the field, the street is feeling right now. And so it will be very interesting to see what happens over the next coming weeks. Do we eventually, weeks and months, do we eventually see rate cuts start happening? And this was interesting. Nikita Bear, the head of product at X, tweeted out, crypto has had a rough year. Maybe we should launch something to fix it. And everybody's, we're in. Guys, it's a trick. You're all getting banned. We've heard about some features that they might be enabling, potential not trading on X per se, but a third party trading, where you write XRP and then you'd potentially get a page for XRP. You click the link, and then you go to a third party site and you could trade. But there would be information on that page, a significant amount of information. There was talk about combating crypto scams. So, by the way, as always, remember, I'll never contact you on social media asking to sign up to anything or to send me any money. Those are scammers, those are imposters. Please be very careful out there. So this will be interesting. Does this change from X trigger or fix the crypto markets? Probably not. More, I think Clarity Act and the situation in Iran. But the more the merrier, the better. The more good things that we have in the crypto market, the better for long-term viability. So that is going to be very important going forward. Don't forget to smash the like button. Check out the links in the description down below. See if anything interests you. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Don't forget to smash the like button. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.